He said about the.
It was the same, it was on the same.
Okay, it is 5:30 and I am going to call this meeting of the village trustees of the Morrisville Water and Light Board in order of September 3, 2025 meeting. Are there any agenda adjustments? If none, public comment. So these people are all here for agenda item. So Sarah is not here. I'll come back to her. So want to go with Tyler? Sets a minutes. Oh, we go first. I'm sorry. Right. Minute approval. Do I hear a motion for 8 minutes of the meeting? July 1-6 is regular. August 5 is special. Yes. Okay, the first meeting, regular meeting of July 16th. July 16th. That was good. I'll second. The motion has been made and seconded to approve the minutes of the July 16, 2025 meeting as printed. Any discussion? Hearing none, I will call the vote. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. It's unanimous. Special meeting, August 5, 2025. I have a motion to approve those. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the minutes of the August 5, 2025 meeting as printed. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. And that is unanimous also. Check register. Does anyone have any comments on check register? I just have a question. Yeah. Seems like we spent a lot of money on tree trim. Yeah. Yep. It's within the budget we set. The budget. We're still under the budget. We're what, 16 grand under the budget right now, something like that. The budget's 200 grand, and I'm at 166. Okay. Yep. Yep. But it's the time of year, right? We're out there. Mm-hmm. They were a little higher than normal. At one point, I had climbing crew here as well as my brush guys on the bottom, so that's why you were seeing monthly rates are a little higher. Moving forward, the climber guys are here, so it's a little bit more management. And when we spent the budget, the contractor just goes home for the rest of the year. That's all. Yeah. Are there any other comments to make on the check register? I'll second. Motions are made and seconded to approve the check registers as printed. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. And that is unanimous also. Okay, Sarah has just arrived. So the tax rate here. You're going to set the tax rate. Slightly higher this year, Sarah can explain, but not really because of spending.
Now, so the tax rate that I'm proposing is 0.0050, so still less than a penny. It's up 0.003, and that is due to the village grand list had a big drop in it due to qualified housing changes. That there were 2 buildings, and the listers have reached out to do it, requested an audit, are questioning those qualified number figures, but it won't take place till 26. So for 25, the village grand list.
What were the village owned by?
I'm not sure.
What's that?
I'm not sure. I just questioned the listers why there was a drop. I was thinking that there was something wrong in the report.
So you don't know where they are.
I just know they're in the village.
Get that for you to follow up on. Okay. you said 0050, right?
0050.
I just wanna make sure I wrote it. Right. Okay. Is there any further discussion on this? I'll make a motion to set the 2025 tax rate for the Village of Morrisville at 0.0050, a 6.4% increase from 2024. Motion been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor, please sign by saying aye. Aye. And it is unanimous. Worth noting that this raises a grand total of $40,000. Right?
Yeah, and
Context sometimes matters, right?
and the increase on a $400,000 home is going to be $1.20.
So sometimes that helps people if anyone actually watches this. We have an advisory YouTube dollar.
Great.
About $5. But I'm happy that it's out there. So, thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thanks.
You all set?
As always.
Okay. Have a good night.
Take care. Now, Connor, I believe you're up. Where we are from last time, just to set the stage, is seems like we'll show you what he's got. But like when we finished last time, we were all hoping that perhaps the instrument could just be moved to accommodate the additional space that they need. What I've heard late is that's correct. It can be, and we'll work out how the survey happens or not happens, or if it's just a flat. We can work that out and afterwards. There's nothing to do until you agree to that. So I don't know if you want to show them what's changed since last time, Tyler.
Yeah, so this is a similar site plan that we saw last time. The difference is that we simply just shifted the easement north. We shifted it by 8 feet. So that gives us 17 feet on either side, on the north and south sides. It's adequate for construction and for maintenance. Otherwise, the east and west sides maintain the same 25-foot offsets. So the original easement was 25 feet all the way around. So we're not making it bigger, we're just shifting it by 8 feet. Also, we did, with the help of Kevin's team, we did some research on old plans, old spring locations, and we did get our hands on a really awesome map way back. And the majority of the springs are just much further up the hill and not in the area of this. One thing we did find was a dam. I think it was called dam number 6. Yeah. This isn't doing much. So there's an overflow spillway, but there was, on this whole plan, it showed an old dam house and then a pipe coming out of there. So it must have been like a collection point. It's a pretty cool network of springs further up, a couple other dams, pipe network coming down. This other pipe network coming in with some check valve boxes into pump station and pump house. And honestly, not sure if that's still going on or not going on. We were really just laser focused on trying to see what was around this area and if anything was impacted. So at this point, based on the research that we've been able to conduct, we don't have any concerns as far as that goes. It was also interesting to note that the original wastewater permit also didn't show any springs in the area that were affected. Whether or not they did their homework or not, we don't know that. But from what we can tell, this won't have any impact on any existing springs on the property.
And importantly, because of the concern I raised last time, this plan avoids the issue I raised last time about additional use of public land for private benefit. This is the same exact square footage. Whether we should have agreed to that way back in the early 2000s or not, really irrelevant. No additional use of public lands. That was the concern I had raised.
And the big plus on that I kind of liked was when they raised it up the other way, took that right away out of right away for the power line. Right, so I don't need to worry about getting into it from up there. Right. I know you already expressed. The actual, yeah, not so much. So, yeah, not the bad itself, it's right on there. But not quite as bad as it was, sorry, correct.
You have a timeline on it? How long it's gonna take?
I don't know if they're gonna get after this year or not. This might be for us to figure out. Still dealing with a state public water supply permit to increase the water demand. It's gonna be a bigger septic tank and pump tank. So there's things else that happen, so he still has to figure out some logistics within his own property.
Seeing American chestnut trees up there.
Oh, boy.
Tell them to be
I don't want
cautious.
to, I don't feel comfortable answering that question.
And construction's up there, tell them to be cautious, Ron Stamp with us for permission, we try to reseed some American chestnuts up there, I don't actually know where he planted them. Trustees gave him authority to do that, that may know where they are. I don't know.
Probably walked up, you walk into Leachfield, so this is a beautiful flat.
Yeah, and the grass is green.
Grass is green.
Just wanted you to be aware,
I will say that
if somebody tore them up.
they need to get up there and do a little bit of maintenance. There's some kind of woody shrubs starting to grow up, so I don't know what the notification process is with you guys and them, but
If you have an easement,
we advise them that they should get up there. Give it a go.
it's good to let us know when you're going to, even though you have a right to be there, because, you know, like they're gonna be calling up like that. If somebody said, hey, we're going up there to maintain our easement, and at least we can say, it's simply, you stole it on it, relax.
Pass those around. That's a picture of that dam. So it's like one corner of the dam must have been a collection pool area with a house on it, and a little building on it. And then you can see in this plan, this is north. This is Route 15. Like this is gondola snack shack down here. And this is the dam right there that we're talking
No, we're
about.
not helping us, we're gonna have historic preservation out here telling us, we got BNRC up here telling us to tear it out.
It's really cool. So this is the dam, that little square, and this is like a cross section that shows the little building. Yeah.
It's very cool.
You want me to pass this out or not?
You can pass that. I'm mostly joking, but I have a table. I was struggling to get into the next few days. Willard Sanders for that? Wow.
Yeah, what was the date on that thing?
Oh, I think 1934 on yours. Microsoft 34 or 24, yeah.
I think it's already
Yeah,
I don't know where does that document?
Linda's got files and stuff here. Somewhat categorized.
Really got a lot of pretty incredible historic records here. Amazing.
So I would entertain a motion. Okay, move to approve the relocation of the easement of Morrisville so-called Butterfly Springs property as requested and authorized management to execute necessary documents to effect this outcome. Second. Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. It's unanimous.
Yeah, you'll let me know about that.
Yep.
The original survey, my dad had me down and all that. So, but I don't think he set pins out there. But it's the reference is 25 feet from the end of the leach field. So it seems like that can be a needed thing based on actual existing conditions, because we nail this down the best we can. It's not a survey.
Yeah, no, I get it. I think that's fine. I actually want to talk to him because of his background and his family connection to surveying, and we haven't had a chance to chat, so.
We literally brought in surveying. The digitized version, scale and rotate, try to make it fail in existing condition, but the plus or minus on that.
Yeah.
Right. But at the end of the day, what matters is that, what matters is the space.
I'll get with Kevin, and we'll be right in touch. Yeah, no worries.
Thank you, everybody, for your time.
Thanks, Tyler. Thank you.
Thank you, it's been said.
Okay, the termination of the Coffee Cell Tower agreement with the main fund. Yeah, so there's two things going on here. You remember way back, months ago, there was an approach of, we gotta get this done quick, and then went away forever and ever and ever. Now they're ready to change, to sell up, probably got potential ready to sell their rights to that tower. So that takes two things to make that happen. One is to terminate the agreement about Food Lake. I don't think it's necessary to today, you really want it to happen. Once we have to, you've made a motion and we take a check from them, I don't see what that has to do with anything, but it'll make them happy. And then the second piece is to approve the easement and lease assignment. So that it's clear that we still have to have a lease with the new owner of the tower and be Copley anymore. So those are the two things. Copley hired Tim Sargent. I brought this to you all to see if it was okay to represent them and us. So I've got all the documents from Tim. He did write it up a little different than I thought he was going to in the last version. So in the proposed motion where it started proposed to authorize the village manager to sign the termination, should be proposed to approve the termination agreement, and then the rest of it's all the same. Yeah.
The golf course is paying the legal fees.
Golf course is paying all legal fees, actually with them. And then I'm gonna have you sign the termination agreement tonight. And then I'm just gonna hold it until the check shows up. Right? I'll hold both documents. I'm not gonna give them all the documents and wait for the check. So, you get the money first. If you approve it. So we're gonna get a one-time check and then that's it. That's it. Then you will not have any money coming in. That's been your funding source. So right. Be clear about that. If you approve it. Indicate what you want to do.
I have a question on
Yeah.
your motion verbiage there.
Halfway through, it says Village of Morrisville, what's the termination agreement, the ownership transfer documentation is in order?
Yeah, that's because I'm an engineer, I'm still learning the English language.
Okay. You're missing or?
Probably.
Comma.
Yeah.
Make sure that-
Probably a comma. What's the termination agreement?
Yeah, and the ownership transfer documentation.
Yeah, yes, and the ownership with that. Editor in chief.
Done it before.
It has. So how are we gonna fund the anyway? We're gonna have this money sitting there accruing interest. So we should be accruing more interest on it.
But it won't accrue as much interest as what we were receiving.
Well, we did that math, and, you know, if you totally left it alone, it was within over a 20-year period, it was within like 20 grand of the same amount of money. That would mean you have to leave it sit there, to do that. It was like, I forget the numbers off the top of my head, but one path was like 240 grand in annual payments, and the other path was, you know, this, the one-time payment would grow to be something like 220 grand. So, and out of being a good neighbor to the country club, you all indicated that was good enough, at the time, would be acceptable. It probably means, you know, some, doesn't mean you have to stop entirely, but some of the plans you have made to spend on some more of that refund, you may still decide to do some of that, but there's not any more coming in the top of the bucket. You may decide to pause a little bit, see how things go. That's a different discussion for another night. But we had been kind of thinking about, let's draw some of that down since there's more coming in. Well, now there's not more coming in. So, okay. I would entertain a motion.
Proposed to authorize the village management to sign a termination agreement relating to the so-called rate agreement between the Copley Country Club and the Village of Morrisville. On the termination agreement, the ownership transfer documentation is in order unless the agreed lump sum payment has been made to the village. Further, the easement and lease assignment and authorize village manager to execute necessary documents on behalf of the village.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. It's unanimous. The motion is passed.
You all will sign the top page. That's all we have to sign. I'm sending it back in. There's a 3 pens in front of the bottom. Brad, you got 3 in front there. That's the most worth. And then I will hold that until August happens and I have the money. So just trust me. Not the other way. Rather than chasing me down when I'm coming to the office, it's easier to have you sign now. What in?
It's a talk.
Yeah, just a option. Of course. Background so I don't lose it. Thank you.
Okay. Now, the Vermont Transco Capital Authorization.
Yeah, so, we do this every year when Melville makes a capital call. So this is not that. It's the same thing as that, but it's not the annual call. The last one we did was $2 million of this investment in Vermont Transco, which we get like an 11.5% guaranteed rate of return on a free money machine. So this is, there was a call made in 2015, I think it was, it's in the memo. A utility did not take all of their shares. So those have been reallocated to everybody else. So we get an opportunity to get more shares, which in my mind always makes sense. So the opportunity here is to get 1,454 Class A shares and 1,851 Class B shares, $10 a share, $33,000.50. We'll work that as we always do through VEPSA. So it will just show up as over a couple of years as an additional payment on our VEPSA bill. We'll use the new dividends that come in from Vermont Transco to repay that. And then once the amount's paid, that 11.5% a year just is available to us to improve operations, to investment capital or whatever. So you know, I always recommend it because it literally is a free money machine. It's, you know, arbitrage was outlawed in almost everything like 20 years ago, and except for entirely legal. I'm a blunt person. So, yeah, that's all I got to tell you.
And as you say, in the past, we've always just rubber stamped it, we've grabbed all we could get.
Yeah.
So I would entertain a motion.
Proposed to acquire the Vermont Transco Class A and B shares offered to Morrisville Water and Light for $33,050 and to agree to acquire additional shares should other utilities decline. Authorize the manager to execute necessary documentation to enact this decision.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
It's just worth noting, and again, we always do this, but it's not normal that other utilities will decline. If they do, they then offer those shares back to everybody again. I've heard through the grapevine, just with where they are in the world right now, that Hyde Park is probably going to decline. So there's probably going to be 10 more shares that are going to come our way. You know, so there won't be a lot, but there'll be something probably that will come our way. Pre-authorizing that if it happens.
Yep. Okay. Hearing no further discussion, I will call the vote. All those in favor of this motion, as stated, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Motion passes. Thank you. Well, now, let's we're into other business.
Yeah, so we've got LCPC here to talk with you about some land use map presentations, but before they dive in, got both Tasha and Seth here, they'll introduce themselves. I did want to let you know that, over the past couple of years, we've been working pretty closely with LCPC, and, I'll just say, obviously things have not always been the most friendly between the organizations, but they've been being incredibly helpful in Morrisville as we've tried to navigate FEMA and then state of Vermont litigation. And more recently, they drummed up an opportunity that will be on our next agenda to apply for $4 million of community development block grant funding. They're actually helping put all the applications together. So, from my perspective, there's been a real good partnership and a real value add to us collaborating with the crew over at LCPC. So just wanted to say that out loud, and you'll see somebody here next meeting. We have to have a public hearing for that. So before we can actually make the final submittal to CDBG, but been a good partnership and strong from at least my perspective. I haven't had a lot of times where we could talk about it, LCPC, at least in my time here. Hey, I got a positive to share, so I'll share. So with that, not the national stuff, but I just figured let's start with a positive.
Sure, so thanks so much. You want us up at the table or back here?
Hold the chairs up if you like, whatever's most
Because I think
comfortable.
easier for me to sit and look at something. Thank you. And I'll admit, I have actually worked with Scott for
We used to be up.
we used to be on
That's the way you put it.
20, 30 years ago, right. And thanks so much for having us. And this is Seth Jensen, Deputy Director. So we are here because Act 181, which passed the legislature last year, the Act 250 Reform Bill, also included language regarding regional planning. It used to be that the board of LCPC would review our regional plan, adopt it, and then we were done. Now our regional plan needs to go to the Land Use Review Board, the new Act 250 board, for approval. Included in that regional plan are land use maps. And in the past, all the regional planning commissions use their own definitions and their own colors for these maps. So this legislation actually very specifically identified categories we should use in building future land use maps and colors that we should use. And so we have put together a regional land use map, and then are visiting with all the trustees and select boards to go over the details of your community. I want to be absolutely clear that this is not a top-down process, it's a bottom-up. And that what we put in this map is based on what's in the town and village plan, and what is the vision of the community. We've already met with the Morristown Select Board and Planning Commission, and we're here to meet with you. There were some, I think, helpful suggestions from the Planning Commission. So I'm going to hand out this draft map. I want to let you know that we are on a, I don't know how many in each direction, but anyway, I think everybody will work. I need one, I'm sorry. Otherwise I won't know what we are on a tight timeline. We need to get our regional plan and the map approved by the Land Use Review Board by the end of 2026. If we don't, then all the village and downtown designations in the can go away. So it's pretty hard hammer on that.
What was that date? I'm sorry.
The end of December 2026. There is a substantial public process to get a regional plan approved, so we really need to have these maps done by the end of this calendar year. So this is a map, future land use map of Morrisville Village. And remember, this is 30,000 feet. This does not affect your zoning. This is really the vision of how you see land being utilized in the future.
So I'm gonna turn it over to Seth to talk about, the details of what you see in the village, and you can clearly see the village boundary on here.
So I'm gonna pass out the excerpts from.
But before you do that, just help me with one thing. I can see the purple color clearly, but the blue color me to the left and above it, I'm not sure which one that is. So the purple one is LC Downtown Centers. What's the one that covers the oxbow?
That, the hatch mark, is that,
Which color right here?
Oh, I
don't see the blue down here.
okay, so
Probably my
what it
eyes.
is, it's the purple, and then it's got,
Oh,
remember,
So it's
corridor
so it's
floodplain.
all purple and then it looks blue because of the
Yeah.
hash marks.
Yeah.
Thank you. Maybe I was the only one confused.
And this purple, represents the previously designated downtown, which is the same as what is being applied for, in this round.
Yeah, this looks right from the map we've seen, just at a cursory review. Thank you. Yep. Just want to make sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm gonna pass out another document. Tasha gets the pretty pictures and I get the long text.
Right.
So
We learned a lot about paint colors and teal and mustard
we
and
have
lavender.
the Red Open Paint Store after this. So as Tasha outlined, statute now defines the specific future land use areas that have to be used as the building blocks for each regional plan. Also outlines a common color scheme. Within that framework, there is flexibility for each region to apply the planning areas in the way that is most reflective of the municipal plans within the region, and to develop the policies tied to those planning areas, again, based on the municipal plans within the regions. So what we've tried to do is take this state framework and translate it as best as possible into your municipal plan and planning documents. So I'm going to start at the center and move outward. Feel free to ask questions as they come up. So the first area, the downtown centers, that is the dark purple that Tasha mentioned. That follows the outline of the former downtown designation that the community is in the process of reapplying for. That represents the civic and commercial centers of a community. Once the map is adopted, there will be opportunities for the community to work with the Regional Planning Commission to revise and expand that. That is a new opportunity provided by 181. It used to be any revision to that boundary would need to go to the state downtown board. Under the new framework, minor amendments can be done without that process. Once, and I want to make sure to put this part on it, once the regional plan is approved by that land use. So the reason for following that boundary at this phase is to ensure there's expedited review of the regional plan. If there's desire to extend that in the future, that would be something that we could work with in the village in the future. The next area is the light purple. That's the area plan for growth. Generally, those are areas where the local plan supports
Light purple?
light purple.
Is that what would we call them?
What is, I don't sell much. My paint stores are very popular.
I was seeing more of a rose color.
The rose
Sorry, I digress.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought we were talking about the one way over
The
here.
lavender, yeah.
So-
Okay, yeah.
Thank you, that was
Okay.
helpful. Thank you for the clarification.
Yes, so this, I'll
Can I just ask as you're thinking about this, are you, when you develop these, and maybe the answer is neither, but is it the 23 zoning, the 25 zoning, or neither?
It's not the zoning
Okay.
informs it, but it's the plan. And so the zoning in a way is incorporated, but you can't really go up and
So it's
down
not
with the
a town
zoning, right? And it's
Yeah.
very important that these will not affect your zoning.
It's actually the right answer based on the fact that the 25 may have to have a hiatus based on last night's meeting. So it's actually good it's not based on either zone.
Right, exactly.
answer.
This is the future vision, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
change in any way how you manage your zoning, how you deal with individual parcels. And there are parcels, like you have a cemetery, not far from here, that will retain its characteristics, and like be included from development of the cemetery, regardless of whether it's in a growth zone or something else.
Now, being in the LC flood overlay, is that gonna affect your homeowner insurance?
So the overlay, so the floodplain and the process will still be based on the official NFIP maps and FEMA process for that. That is an advisory layer, which is why it's shown as an overlay rather than a hard line.
I'm looking, this is the same thing you had a couple of years ago. My question. I know there's a house in here, 80 feet above the river.
So,
Right? It's in the flood zone.
right, and
The new house they built last year is in the flood zone.
right, and I appreciate that. The overlay for this flood zone is from the state, and we are required to include that on the map. I appreciate that this overlay is not always descriptive of some of what's actually on the ground. But this is on the future land use map. This is not a regulatory map. It's a descriptive map. It's a vision of the future. So having it here does not affect, like as Seth said, insurance or whatever. That's a different process.
You ignore the elevation.
The state
Is in the floodplain.
Right. I appreciate that. There are challenges with the state maps. We are required to include them on this map. And so that's what we're doing. So.
And there's also a section specifically on floodplains and flood resiliency, and the elevation and those types of issues are discussed in that. So important to remember that the map is sort of the visual representation of the full plan, and that's a very good point that the methodology FEMA uses to develop these does not capture all of the topography.
All right, I sent you down the rabbit hole. Let's
Yeah.
let me get
Not a
back
problem.
to describing what's here. Sorry about that.
So
I'm good at that, by the way.
the planned growth area encompasses areas where the local plan envisions residential, commercial, and mixed-use development, where there is water and sewer existing or planned, and where the community has zoning subdivision. That covers in this map, and this outline was developed after quite a few discussions with the planning staff and the planning commission. Most of the North End area and many of the neighborhoods surrounding the downtown. Closely related to that is the mustard color, the transition area. So that's kind of the next
So
step.
orange mustard,
the orangey
not
mustard.
the Dijon,
Not
right?
the Dijon, the honey mustard.
Yeah.
Those are the more residential medium density areas, areas where there may be water and sewer may be planned. But that's not all of the areas. That can also include areas where there's existing roadside commercial development. That's why you'll see the north side of Route 15 is included in the transition area. So again, this is a 30,000 foot representation of the more nuanced and fine-grained areas in your local plan. The next area, which is that violet area is the enterprise area. Those are areas planned for primarily economic activity like industrial parks, gravel pits, and other commercial uses. There is an odd clause in statute that requires that enterprise areas be physically separate from areas planned for growth, and so you'll notice a narrow strip along the river of the transition area to provide that. This is again based on review of your municipal plan and understanding the goals and objectives of the municipal plan. From there, we moved out to the rural areas, and you only see pieces of these on the village-wide map, but one piece that is quite important, statute outlined a rural conservation area. LCPC's board of directors made a decision early on in the process that the only areas that were included in the rural conservation area would be state-owned and managed forest land, to ensure that the plan clearly communicated that land management decisions would be made by private property owners in accordance with local bylaws. So when you look at the countywide regional map, you'll notice the conservation map or the conservation area is limited to those areas. There will be some privately owned land that has conservation easements that is not.
That's just the broader townwide map.
Yeah, and this is the broader townwide map. That is not included in the conservation area for that reason, that even with those conservation easements, we wanted to be sure that the plan continued to support that principle of private landowner decision making regarding land management. And the final areas are the rural ag and forestry area, which generally encompasses the larger blocks of farm and forest land, and the rural general, which generally includes the lower density rural residential areas along the major roadways. From a regional plan perspective, the policies for both the rural general and rural ag and forestry will continue to emphasize that rural enterprises, small businesses, agriculture and forestry, and rural residential subdivisions still anticipated in those areas. So the plan is going to be very clear, as it has been traditionally, that change and in the rural areas is expected in accordance with the local bylaws.
Questions?
What do you?
It's really the trustee's opportunity to look at this map, ask questions. If you feel something's been miscategorized, to share that with us. And that is a process we've done with select boards and trustees around the region. And so we really want to just make sure that we capture your plan and your vision adequately in this mapping.
Well, these are advisory conversations. I just want to get with no emotions or anything.
No,
Okay.
no.
And what you guys does not change anything all about the color coding, make it standard.
The color coding and the definitions, yes, if you look at, yeah. So, well, it's slightly different in that the new maps have been mapped by parcel. And so it's got more jagged edges than our old land use map. Like this is the countywide land use map. And you can see there are jagged edges, but if you compare it to the old one, which is on our website, it looks very similar. You have the dense areas and the centers of communities, and then you go out from
The
there.
intent is the same, you're just more granular.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll notice, just for your interest, is that there's all these category definitions, and then there's this unusual one called asbestos mine. So, so the asbestos mine up here in Eden didn't fit any of the categories identified by the state. And in statute, there is a sentence that says if you have something, you know, that doesn't fit any of the categories, just call it out. And so we, you know, I mean, you could look at all the categories and clearly asbestos mine doesn't fit anything. So.
Mr. Chair, do you have a public comment?
Not Peter Bond.
Yeah.
On to this may not be the proper,
Correct,
in relation to access to trails and biking in this process you're working through, is it a time to talk about that at some point in this process, or is this not related to that at all?
That's something to talk about in your town plan. This is a much higher level thing. So the way these are mapped is not gonna affect at all your, how you want to deal with trails in the community.
So at a county level, and so I'm just taking pretty interest in trails, and I'm not on the conservation mission, I'm just working with them and trying to look at opportunities that might show up for trails now or in the future. And it just, you know, I would be remiss not asking that as you're working through this process to see if there's an opportunity in this countywide or community.
So I'll give you an example. About 10 years ago, there was a study of a mixed-use bike and ped path from Stowe, Morristown. And that study looked at different routes, but every parcel, whether or not utilized, was dependent on whether or not there's landowner permission or if it was public or whatever. So this, I think, is just a too high level to really affect it.
I want to make sure I answer.
Yeah. Yes.
So this is just, the purpose of it is just kind of get uniformity throughout colors and everything.
Yeah.
What is this, if I'm a developer, how would I look at this? This doesn't tell me I can't put something there, if it's a zoning, but how would I look at this? Somebody start a business or what
You wouldn't really need to reference this unless you were looking at, well, I want to do some development over the next 10 or 20 years, and this is where the community's envisioning growth might happen. So it's a very high level document. But it's important to have these community discussions as you kind of envision your future. Any other questions or?
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
All right, well, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Michelle,
Yes. There'll be a color quiz later.
One probably be there in 3 weeks, right? Probably, sure. You saw I got better and all that stuff.
I did, but thank you. Yeah.
And Peter, you might be interested in this show, Morristown Path.
Well, I think with the rail trail being so much activity there, that I think it's probably good to refresh and visit, you know, the attitude that are different than ever.
Perfect, all right, thank you so much. We
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you, have a nice
Can
evening.
we go out the front?
Yes.
Is there a lot?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I might suggest you take executive session out of order. It could be executive session before the management report. Absolutely. Totally up to the trustees, but I'm perfectly fine with me. Doesn't bother me.
Any problems with that?
And we'll also make sure Tom is here for that. I think it's more important for Tom to be part of the executive sessions than it is the management update. You can come see me anytime for that. Okay.
And I will entertain a motion.
Motion on a piece of paper.
Move to enter executive session, discuss real estate matters, labor negotiations, pending litigation, attorney client communications, signature of the closure of these things to take place at Village of Morrisville and Morrisville Water Plant and disadvantage.
Second. Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? I will let it go. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are in executive session.
Alright, so we're back to the management report?
Yes.
Alright, Kevin. By the way, any a few minutes ago when Peter was here and we're still planning this again, I told her just to go home. So she won't be coming in.
Want to go through line by line, or do you guys have any questions on anything specific?
I don't have any questions.
I don't have any questions, I gotta get to it, but.
I did see the Ben Platt Memorial Kiosk. It's very nice.
Good.
Nice little area down there. Well done.
She did send an email to Kevin and I, and she's planning on bringing topsoil all in.
Really?
Get the dirt areas that show, she said she's bringing in topsoil and planting a few more bushes and such in there, so she was just updating us on.
Very nice.
Kevin, would you say a couple words about the pre-construction meeting for Jersey Heights?
Yeah,
We hadn't had it yet when you wrote this.
we had the pre-construction meeting, with, Portland Construction and met on site and. Talked to Mike Alexander and, got him on board. Well, I don't know if he's on board, but he's aware of what's coming and all that. And I'm glad that, Roth at Portland Construction acquired this. They did the Bridge Street one and they've done several other projects for us, so we're in really good hands with that.
And timing?
They're gonna get started here probably next week. Get the roads, and building in as much as they can, and then parts are gonna be out in February or March next year. And then timing that installation and, bypass pumping is gonna be tricky, but you'll figure it out, sure, yeah.
Just wanted to let you know it's moving forward.
Good.
Yeah. Alright, I did not get Rusty's bullets in, so he's gonna give you a quick update of what's going on.
A few things that happened, we did, speaking of the kiosk down there, we did actually go down and cut all the trees and get that prep for them to get that area cleaned up for the sign down there. We cut some, helped the water department, the hydro department, cut some trees out on the dike. We did a lot of prepping the area for the new fence out back. There was a little feedback from neighbors, but nothing too upsetting. There's one actually ugly guy, but we took care of it. Had a couple outages on Route 15. We did have some broken poles due to cars and vehicles. You guys might see the one down here. Just Bobby Brothers' house, that car decided right in the middle of the afternoon to hit and brake. We did have a local contractor break another one pretty badly on Bridge Street. Mark Cody went through town a little overloaded. Made quite a mess on Bridge Street. We did a primary line extension up on Valley View. We've actually had a lot of transformer changes. Due to solar fields coming in, so we've had to do a lot of transformer changes. And pad mount changes, both of them. Obviously, that does get charged to the customer, but there has been quite a few of them due to that. A lot of disconnect, reconnects again going on because of everybody raising their size of their services on their homes.
Excuse me, let me ask, interrupt here a second.
Yeah,
Are
sure.
we having any trouble getting the transformers we need?
No, not at this time.
Okay, there was a time I thought when we were having
Yep.
trouble getting transformers.
Yep.
Okay.
Actually, I actually just got a load of them and got a hell of a deal on them, so I can get pretty easy access to them through the provider that I've been using lately. Just a background of CET, just so you guys know that they are the main distributor for Green Mountain Power. So long as we use similar items as Green Mountain Power, we do have a way we can get stuff pretty quickly without a lot of downtime. So
A lot of times if we don't have it and it's gonna be a long time, we can actually go and get one from GMP stock. And then just place an order and
Nice.
have them deliver it directly there.
replace it. So, I just ordered 12 transformers for them and it was 3 weeks ago. So the timeframes and stuff are changing. Some of the large ones I did price one out for Menashes, and that one was gonna be 8 weeks. So the timeframes have changed a lot. We did actually wreck out a line, some of you may know, the old beacon hasn't been used here for years. And we had a little bit of downtime, so I sent the guys out there to wreck that out, get some of there was a transformer that's been out there for.
The airport, right?
It's out on the end of Beacon Road, it used to be the old Beacon line. Got rid of, I weren't here then, but it was quite a long time, we just wrecked that line out. A lot of dig safes are coming in. Since I wrote this and such like that, we've actually had quite a few, we got a very lot of primary line extensions going in right now, so.
Hang on a sec. Yeah, go ahead, keep going.
Yep, so, yeah, I mean, right now there's like 7 or 8 of them waiting to go in there, I'm just waiting for contractors. And, just so that you guys know, September 15th, we're gonna start that 3319 job. That's gonna go from, Garfield Road to Trombley Hill Road to substation 5 up there. That kind of stays off the road of Fraser Road. We're starting that, and it's gonna take about 4 to 6 weeks to change all that poles. Like we did the very first section from Morrisville Used Auto to Garfield Road, this is the next step. But other than that, unless you guys have any questions for me.
Did you have any questions on pennies? That I can try to answer? There's a big mucky muck at New England Public Power Association, he's a treasurer. She was out there all 3 days of their conference, so during this period, so that was a good deal. She represents us well in those places, so they love her. So
She does.
it's good.
Oh, and actually too, if you guys didn't know, we did have the NEPA conference, I don't know if you've shared that with them.
That heroism thing, right?
Oh, I'm not gonna take your
It's okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's fine, I didn't know, I just wanted to let them know. No, it's fine, I'll let you finish it up.
It's just, we'll just do that, it's just, obviously, I think it's good for the public record that, you know, Nick was honored by New England Public Power Association for his, you know, courage and bravery in saving that man's life at the barn and car fire up in Wolcott, so, it's quite a deal, I would tell you. They must have had 10 or 12 awards all overall, and Nick's was the next to last. And you know, like those things, you don't know who the hell's in the room. So you hear these stories, and you know, and so the executive director and NEPA kind of read and talked about what Nick had done. And it's such an inspiring story. Like, as one body, everyone was on their feet. Like, even the guy after Nick, they saved a Lifetime Achievement Award. Like, it was a cascading thing, like, you know, the people from his utility stood up and then everybody else eventually stood up. When next it was just like, as everybody is one body, it was just on their feet and it was pretty special. I don't mean to diminish anybody else's award, but it was just a pretty special reaction and we had, we brought Nick's wife down as to be with him for that, and so it was just I think they were really appreciative. Nick did not enjoy sitting there as he watched everybody else have to go up on that stage. The poor guy was hyperventilating. I'm gonna have to do that, crap. I can tell, but he did great. He represented us well. Is that fair?
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the only other thing, I'm sure happy to answer questions about what I wrote, but I did want to just acknowledge that Brad and Tom came to the insurance training, which I think was good. They seemed to both enjoy it. And in fact, I think we decided that it was interesting enough that we're not gonna bring the training in here, but we're gonna have at some future meeting that's not as busy, have Penny bring our insurance coverages in here, so you can actually understand what we have, and we can talk a little more about warden officers insurance and things like that cover you all, and make sure you have some understanding of that. So that'll be on some future agenda. So I don't know if there's anything you want to say about
Well, that
that.
was fascinating. I never would have believed that I could sit through an insurance meeting and be as awestruck as I was about. Anyway, I think we're in really good shape.
Right,
In insurance wise.
and I see we have a visitor, so I want to see.
I got a question, Scott, and I wanna make sure I know where we are on this downtown designation thing now.
Yep.
You've mentioned here something to do with the capital planning. I talked about it last night.
Yeah.
So
the town has put the pre-application in, to the state. The town was not aware, I don't know if they should have been aware or not, but it's a different matter. That there is a requirement to have an official duly adopted by state law capital plan in place in order to be able to apply. So they've been scrambling to put one together. We had already these guys can tell you, we've been talking about developing a capital plan, not state approved, but because we wanna have a document that looks out 5 years to see what's coming at us. We've been working on this for months. So fortunately, when Brent called and was scrambling to put something together, I made clear that he knew, like, you hadn't even seen it. It's not approved by anybody, but here's a bunch of projects that we know we have to do at some point. We have a first draft. I made sure that it's clear that, like, we're not bound to whatever goes to the state. They just wanna know that something's been adopted. You guys can change it anytime you want on our project list and reallocate projects once we bring it to you. So when he acknowledged that was true, that it's not binding, then I was like, okay, you can put all these projects in your town, in the submittal of a capital plan to go with that application. So he said last night, which was a little bit later date than we've heard previously, that the final application is now, I think he said October 2nd last night. That was the first time I heard that date, because previously it was before that. So I'm expecting they're having a public hearing pretty soon to adopt, for the select board to duly adopt the capital plan.
So we don't have to do anything further.
Don't have to do with that. So, but yeah, I'm gonna bring one here to make sure that totally disassociated with that process. We're not trying to get the state to approve ours. I just wanna make sure we're all in the concurrence about what's coming for projects. We're actually taking a 20-year look. We're only gonna really then bring a 5-year look. But we wanna make sure when we look at it again in 3 years to do the next 5, we never wanna get to the end of those plans. We wanna make sure we have a starting document of, oh yeah, around 2038, we should have to upgrade the treatment plant, because you're supposed to upgrade a treatment plant every 30 years. That's the best practice. Does it really have to be 2038? Might something be worse than expected and we gotta do it in 2036? Might even be able to kick the can to 2040, but it's good to have that written down somewhere, right? You don't need to worry about adopting that at this point in time, right? We wanna look at the next 5 years. We can bring that to it. Okay, thank you.
Ron? Well, I came a little late, but I was interested in the docket number 7, Bug Bee Springs wastewater easement relocation. I didn't know if you had the order, but Matt Reed and I surveyed that property up there, and the original site for the wastewater for your talking about the snack bar, I think. Was surveyed out by Kevin Newton. Am I right? No.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, not you, your dad.
The better looking one.
Yep, I apologize. I knew it was Newton, but Allen, okay? So I didn't know if that is all figured off and you have somebody to do that.
So what's going on with that, just to give you the background, is they need the same size easement, but they need it to move like, what was it? 8 feet. Further away from the electric regulator, which is okay with us, so no more limit area, the whole thing's gonna move 8 feet, that's really what they're doing.
And I don't know if it's worth, although probably sometime that has to be updated on the survey map.
Correct. And we're gonna work with them now we wanna make sure that they were okay. When they first came in, they want to expand it. That's a couple meetings ago, and I wasn't favorable to that. I certainly recommend against it, but I don't think public land is supposed to be used for private benefit. But then we came up with the idea of just, if they shift it, they actually have enough room to do what they need to do. We don't have enough septic capacity, but within the original size, they can actually add one more trench. If they shift it, and so if it's just moving,
there's really no additional public burden.
If the size doesn't need to be changed, or let's put it this way, if the size is changed, it probably needs to be replotted on a survey map, because down the road, if that's gonna be done, then somebody's gonna need plans.
Yep.
To put it where.
We already have a plan from them.
That's down here too. Last month, I made a trip up there to the now cable supported across the access to the Bugby Springs. And I asked Scott if he would ask the board if I could have the key, that when I wanna go up and check on the chestnut trees, I might be able to do that. But also I've got historical walks now and then. And it's kinda nice to be able to drive up there a little bit closer. That terrain is so rugged. I am 37 years old. Just don't mind the exercise, but anything, it's a very simple padlock, and it just needs to be open and the cable dropped for a short time. I wanted to go up there and put the cable back up with them done. But it also highlighted to Scott that, at the same time, that I could make observations of anything going on or happening up there.
Do we use common key locks?
Yes, that's,
What I would wanna do, if you're amenable to it, is double lock it, and so that there's a separate lock, that there's only, the key would work for you. And then you just have to know how to put the double lock back together, we probably already know how to do that.
Yeah, I looked at the padlock is in there, and you take the padlock off and the bolt will slide through the bolts.
Yeah.
And so it's very simple.
Yeah, all I'm saying is, I don't wanna give you a key to that padlock, cause it works on every padlock we own. So we would put a double padlock on it. And give you a separate key that only works on one padlock,
Oh.
that gets you through just the same way, you just have to double padlock it again when you leave.
If
We
it
might have to
were-
modify it, but.
Yeah, we'll have to if you guys okay, we'd have to modify it, so. Yeah. We can always have a bar that slides through with a padlock on one side, padlock on the other.
So we just gotta figure it out, but
That's-
I don't think, we would, not that we don't trust you, we wouldn't give anybody the master key.
Yeah.
So you said you wanna take people up there to show them around, and, I mean, how does our insurance work for that?
I'm a town resident and they lived here all my life.
I'm not talking about,
For you people, I surveyed that at no cost to the village. And I'm just looking for a simple way to get up there to check on my.
but you also mentioned about bringing a tour, or bringing a group up here earlier.
No, I'd probably be only one or two individuals I think at a time to go up there.
Okay, well, what,
It's
Let's go
public,
look at the.
it's public land, we already have the liability.
what's that?
It's public land, we already have the liability. I don't think this would be easy, what I would say.
Yeah, I'm just looking for access. And the key, if I was still with the Conservation Commission, I would have it a part of the Conservation Commission. And I would tell them I had the key, but when I'm ready for them to inherit it, it'd be with the Conservation Commission. And where's down Conservation Commission?
And what we would want you to do is bring the key back here when you're not doing it, and then they can come see us.
I can, or yeah, I won't be going out in the winter time, so if I can file a key that I could use for the summer.
Yep.
Like that.
I just don't want, I don't want you to decide who it passes to, that trustees should do that. So when you're done doing it, when you're not feeling like you can do it anymore, and you wanna have somebody else do it, bring the key back, and then,
And reissue,
and we would reissue to whoever you want to go, but it's really their choice, right?
that'd be fine.
But that's all right with you, and if it's okay with you guys.
When I did take some photos up there, but when last time I checked them, they were doing pretty good. The American chestnut tree.
Also, they're on the septic system, are they? Stop kidding.
They are gonna be where you wanna move this, wastewater. They're away from the power line, that's the
How
consideration.
far away?
Plenty far.
Good.
Plenty far.
Perfect.
Have you been up there?
I just had it cut.
There's a fence around these,
Okay, no, I haven't been up there since anyway, planting trees.
well, you're welcome to go up and, check on them and, I haven't checked on them since we've had this dry weather, but,
Yeah.
I think they got established good enough. The, as far as location from the right of way of your pole line, they're adequate.
You're good?
Okay, all right, we'll work with you on figuring out the key.
Let me know by email, thank you.
Have no problem
Okay,
with
Ron.
that, once we have it ready.
Thanks a lot.
Tyler brought that.
Oh, but,
MJ got with you.
Okay, mine have it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I will entertain a motion.
You'll be in touch.
It will adjourn. Yes, sir. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. We are adjourned at
4 minutes is fair.
7:27?
7:27.
All right, thank you.
Thank you all.